Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, tonight I would like to give honor to a sister that most of you probably don't know. About 25 years ago, this African-American sister named Stephanie Lewis came on the corner of Bedford Avenue and Fulton Street at Masjid al-Taqwa. And she was working for the transit department, a bus driver, city bus driver. She wanted to become a Muslim. And I was honored to give her Shahada. She was on vacation, and she had taken the name Fatima. So Stephanie Lewis became Fatima. And so when she went back to the work, there was one little difference. She was wearing hijab, this beautiful Muslim woman's scarf. And when she went to the work in the morning, they said, "Miss Lewis, you are out of uniform. Go home." So she went home. The next day, she went back to the work with a khimar. They said, "Miss Lewis, you out of uniform. Go home." She went home. And this happened day after day. She called me, and I said to her, "They want you to quit. Don't quit. But you go back there every day." Long story short, I went to the job with her, spoke to her supervisors, and they told me that she couldn't work unless she was in proper uniform, and she couldn't wear that. We won the case, and she got all of her money back. This sister just died a few weeks ago. So I want you to make dua for her. Her name is Fatima. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless her with Jannah and forgive her sins. And now when you go to New York City, you see Muslim sisters driving the city buses with their khimars on because of what Sister Fatima did. We want to talk about a moment in our Constitution. After 9/11, 2001, a man by the name of Curtis Sliwa, a head of an organization called the Guardian Angels, he said on radio, "I'm going to drive to every masjid in New York City, and I want to see which one of them is displaying the American flag." My question to Sliwa, why you want to find out who's displaying the American flag? You know me, you know Masjid al-Taqwa, you've been to our masjid. We don't have an American flag displayed. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. And he can't do anything about it because he doesn't understand our own Constitution. Now, brothers and sisters, many years myself and others have spoken about the great contribution that African Americans have made toward understanding our Constitution. We should continue to do that. But I want to expand it a little bit. And I'm going to tell you why I want to expand it and what I want to expand it to. How many of you have ever had in your lifetime a Jehovah's Witness knock at your door? Raise your hand. Could you turn up put it down. Turn up the lights, please. Turn them up. Because I don't like this anyway. I don't like lights on us, and, I ain't going for that. Like we giving some kind of show. Turn the lights up, please. Turn the lights up. I'm ordering you to turn the lights up. Don't give a man a mic. Can someone turn up the lights? Because I want you to see something. I guess they don't want to listen to me. It's a little dark, but again, I want you to raise your hand. If a Jehovah's Witness ever knocked at your door, raise your hand. Now, brother and sister, look around. Look around. Okay. Keep them up. Keep them up. Keep them up. Subhanallah. Look at this. Now, what I want us to do, I don't only want us to study African American history, but I want you to study Jehovah's Witness. About 20 years ago, myself and my esteemed brother, elder, Sheikh Shamim Siddiqui, and some other brothers in our masjid, we went to a housing project, and we went on the 20th floor, and we knocked on the doors of this housing project, and we gave over 100,000 pamphlets about Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. You don't realize this, that much of what we do as Americans, we have to thank the Jehovah's Witness for what they did, and let me tell you why. The legal clashes between the Jehovah's Witness they had with government, with their proselytizing and their practices, led to an astonishing total of 23 separate Supreme Court rulings between 1938 and 1946. More than any other single religious organization engendered before or since. Jehovah's Witness. So frequently did witnesses raise core First Amendment issues that Justice Harlan Fiske Stone wrote, the Jehovah's Witnesses ought to have an endowment in view of the aid which they give in solving the legal problems of civil liberties. One of the things I want you to do is start studying history, study the Constitution, and study the history of the Jehovah's Witness in this country. In 1940, when you get a chance, I was inspired by one of our great brothers, Dr. Abdul Hakim Jackson in Philadelphia. He said something about Jehovah's Witness that made me do some research. In 1940, there was a very famous case taken by the Supreme Court, Millersville School District versus Gobitis. And I want you to remember the year 1940. You're talking about World War II. And Jehovah's Witness children were kicked out of school. And you know why they were kicked out of school? Because they refused to pledge allegiance to the American flag. Now, I want you to show me how we pledge allegiance to the American flag. Show me. Most of you did like this. But in 1940, that's not the way they saluted the American flag. You do the research. You will find out that they did what is called the Bellamy Salute. In 1940, the United States citizens, when they pledge allegiance to the flag, they pledge like this. What does that remind you of? So they went to court. And the United States Supreme Court upheld the right upheld the right to expel any child who refused to salute the American flag. What was the rationale? The rationale was that we're about to go to war, or we're at war, and the whole world is at war, and we must have national unity. And therefore, you have the right to impose people to salute the American flag because we wanted national unity. Now, what was the result of that? The result of that, you had over 1,500 cases of Jehovah's Witnesses being attacked over 350 different places. Kingdom halls were burned down. One sheriff was watching as the people were beating up Jehovah's Witnesses. And a newscaster asked him, "Why are you letting that happen?" He said, "Didn't you read the Constitution or the Supreme Court? They said that they were traitors, and we had a right to run them out." In one of the greatest reversals in the history of our nation, the Supreme Court reversed itself 3 years later, 1943. And I want to read one excerpt from Justice Robert Jackson, who wrote the opinion of the majority. And listen to what he said. "If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, or other matters, or religion, or other matters of opinion, or to force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. If there's one fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty," what does that mean? Whether you are the President of the United States of America, whether you're the head of the FBI or the CIA or the police in New York City, you cannot prescribe what is orthodox. What you mean orthodox? You know, the way it's supposed to be. Orthodox in what? Orthodox in nationalism. Orthodox in politics. You may not like my politics. You don't have a right to put me in jail because of my politics. You don't have a right to spy on me because of my religion or nationality. This is what the Constitution says, but I want to warn you something about the Constitution. Now, I love the Constitution, and I'm serious. I'm not blowing smoke up your jalabia. I don't know what I'm talking about. I do. It's a wonderful document, but you must remember that the Constitution is only a document. So when you talk about the Constitution, there's a couple of issues you got to discuss. Issue number one, the Constitution is made by man, can be changed by man. Indeed, we have had 27 amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America, so it can be changed. Al-Quran is the book of Allah, sent down by Allah, that cannot be changed, and that will be the same until Yom Al-Qiyamah. It will never change. If you don't believe what I'm saying, I study constitutions around the world. And one of the constitutions that I studied is the Constitution in Switzerland. It's a marvelous piece. It talks about freedom of religion. But in 2009, something happened in Switzerland. What happened? There was a referendum where 57.5% of the people in a particular area of the country said that they didn't want to have minarets in masjids. So they added that to the Constitution so that it is illegal in Switzerland to build a new masjid with a minaret. Why is that? Because the Constitution made by man can be changed by man. Number two, not only can the Constitution be changed, and we as American Muslims and as Americans must be careful that we don't allow evil people to change the Constitution to hurt the minority. Because the Constitution is not just for white people. They're not just for men. The Constitution is for black people, red people, yellow people. The Constitution is for women. The Constitution is for every American, and every American has a right to be abide by the Constitution of the United States of America. Now, the second thing that we learn is that, you see, when you talk about the Constitution, you know, it's a set of principles. But those principles now have to be tested with real cases. So there are African Americans historically who on purpose violated law so that they can finally take it to the Constitution. There's histories of that. I'm not going to go into detail of that. So I'm saying to Muslims, Muslims must never be afraid if it means to go to jail, like Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, to make a point so that not only Muslims are saved, but future Americans are saved, then go to jail. Fight against unjust law. Now, Constitution has to be interpreted. And this is why the Jehovah's Witnesses was so important. Because they were arrested. Many thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses were arrested because they didn't want to fight in the American war. Jehovah's Witnesses were jailed because they were trying to give out their pamphlets without certain licenses. But they won the case so that me and my friend Shamim Siddiqui can take Islamic periodicals and Islamic pamphlets and hand them out because of what the Jehovah's Witnesses have done. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to take a moment to give you something to think about, and then we finish. Brothers and sisters, our strength, our signature as Muslims is taken from the verse in Quran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. You are the best of people evolved for mankind because you're enjoying what is good and you forbid what is evil and you believe in Allah. Don't say this, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Don't say this. You see, the Quran is good because, you see, it agrees with the Constitution. No. I'm not. I don't know about you. I ain't saying that. I don't know about you. You my man, but I ain't saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, say the Constitution is good because it agrees with the Quran. The Quran spreads the light. The Quran is from Allah. Allah revealed the Quran. So when you look at a document, don't say, oh man, we see the Quran. No, man. You got the Quran. This is kalimatullah. These are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let me show you what the Quran says about freedom of religion. Because you know, brothers and sisters, our history, the history of man has shown that there are people that want to shut people up. You can't open up your mouth. You can't practice your religion. And this is why the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and his followers in Mecca were run out of Mecca. Why would they run out of Mecca? They weren't run out of Mecca because they were accused of terrorism. They were ran out of Mecca because they had the audacity to believe in Allah the Almighty. They had the audacity to worship Allah. And in the early days of Islam, they had to do it in secret. Why? Because people don't want you to practice your religion. I don't have to practice the religion that you say. I want to practice the religion that I say in my consciousness. And Allah mentioned in Quran, لَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكُمْ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. If Allah had willed, He would have made all of the nations one nation. He would have made mankind one nation. But they will never cease to disagree. That's the beauty of being a human being. We have our opinion, man. I was on a plane. I was at the airport in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. You know what Portland is? Portland is all the way on the west. That's like a 6-hour flight. Now me, I love sitting next to the window. So they gave me an aisle seat. I don't want to sit on the aisle seat. I want a window seat. So I told them I want a window seat. They said, well, let's see. Lo and behold, there was a man at the window who wanted an aisle seat. So I said, okay, I'll take your window, you take my aisle. And we were both happy. That's the way people are. People got differences of taste, difference of everything. Allah made us that way. He made us this way. And he warned his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, la sha'ara buka la'amana man fil addi kulluhum jami'a. If Allah willed, he would have made every human being on earth to believe. Would you then compel man against his will to believe? La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. I'm not going to make you become a Muslim. I became a Muslim at 19 years old because I wanted to be a Muslim and nobody stopped me. My parents didn't stop me. Nobody stopped me because I had the right to do that, not because the Constitution said it, but because Allah said it. All of us have the right. Allah give us the right. Allah give us the right. Not going to make, American people don't have to worry about us compelling American people to believe. But you know what the concern is? Let me tell you what the concern is. See, Muslims can't win. Let me tell you why Muslims can't win. You know how many Muslims we have in the American Armed Forces? According to most reports that I read, there are between 5,000 and 20,000 Muslims in the Armed Forces of America. We can't win. If we don't join the armed forces, they say, you see, you're not patriotic. You see, you're not loyal to the country. And then if we go and join the armed forces, they say, you're trying to subvert the army. You're the fifth colony. We can't win. We can't win when we talk about we want Muslims to vote. You know the Jehovah's Witness, you know the difference between the Muslims and Jehovah's Witness? Jehovah's Witness is apolitical. Jehovah's Witness don't vote. They don't serve on the jury. They have nothing to do with the government. They hate the government. But their rights are protected by the Constitution. But Muslims are not apolitical. We vote, some of us. But it's okay. We can debate the issue. We ought to have debates, public debates about the issue. I think we should vote. That's my opinion. ICNA, I think we should. We should vote. We shouldn't vote. Don't vote. But you know what it is? So we got 2 Muslim congressmen. You know that there are people who write books about warning the American people, be careful of those Muslims. Be careful of letting those Muslims join the Congress. Let me show you something in case you didn't know. Did you know that there are 3 Buddhists in the 112th United States Congress? 3 Buddhists? How many Mormons you think in the Congress of the United States of America? Did you know that there are 15 Mormons right now in the Congress of the United States of America? Did you know that? I know you didn't know it. Did you know there's 39 Jews? You probably thought that. You said, that's all? Do you know that there's 156 Catholics in the Congress of the United States of America? Now, brothers and sisters, Allah knows best. I believe one day we have 30, 40, and 50 Muslim members in the Congress of the United States of America. Now, they shouldn't, we have a right to it, right? If I want to be a congressman, if Imam Siraj want to run for Congress, I don't think I'll do it. We have a right to do it. So I'm saying that these people, these haters, are afraid that we're going to touch the masses of the people of the United States of America. So brothers and sisters, what am I saying? I'm saying Curtis Sliwa, you can get on the radio and you can say, I'm going to find out how many masjids don't display the American flag. There are masjids that have the American flag displayed. I don't have a problem with that. And there's masjids that don't. But don't bully me. Don't try to intimidate me and make me think that I'm not a true American unless I display the American flag. That's not true. In fact, you cause sometimes hypocrisy, because sometimes people display the flag to say, see, we with you. No, we have a right, we have a constitutional right to believe according to our own opinion. So brothers and sisters, I want you to go from this magnificent conference. By the way, Dr. Bukhari, you know what I usually do? When I see participants in the conference, I ask them, how was the conference? All throughout the conference. And something happened this year that I have never seen in any conference, in my opinion. Everybody that I ask, young and old, say, oh man, it's a great conference. And you can see the enthusiasm. They run into the next session. And everybody's talking about these great shuyukh and teachers and scholars and imams and all that they're learning. So it's been a great conference. So now we want you to go back from the conference and study more. Study our history. Study the history of America and study our Constitution. And then don't be afraid to be a Muslim.